Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm teacher Roslina from MUETtutorial.com. I'm a MUET teacher teaching the Form 6 students in a school in Malacca. In this video, we are going to be looking at the introduction to the Malaysian University English Test MUET Speaking paper. Without further ado, let's get started. So first of all, let's look at the MUET Speaking test structure. The speaking test is made up of two parts, Part 1 and Part 2. Part 1 is the individual presentation and Part 2 is the group discussion. Let's look at this in greater detail. So MUET Speaking for Part 1 is based on one prompt. All candidates will be given 2 minutes for you to prepare and 2 minutes after that for you to present your task individually. Part 2 of the paper is the group discussion, and this group discussion will be based on one mind map with 5 prompts. We will be looking at an example of both these parts later on in this video. The time allocated for candidates to prepare for Part 2 is 3 minutes. After these 3 minutes, all candidates will have 8 to 12 minutes to have a discussion based on the mind map with the 5 prompts given. So this is the general information that you would need to know about the MUET Speaking test. The overall marks for the MUET Speaking paper is 90 marks. And the weighting of the paper is 25% of the whole of the MUET examination. This is the same percentage allocated for the other papers, namely the listening, reading, and writing paper. The time allocated for this test is 30 minutes, so the whole of the session for each group where the students will take part in the individual presentation in Part 1 and then the group discussion in Part 2 will all take about 30 minutes from start to finish. So some students are quite new with this test, so I think I should take this chance to talk a little bit more about how the speaking paper is conducted. So as we know, the Malaysian University English Test paper is made up of 4 papers. The speaking paper, which is MUET paper 2, is going to be conducted before the other 3 papers. It will be held much earlier before the other 3 papers on a weekday between Monday till Thursday, about a few days or a few weeks in advance. The other 3 papers, which are the reading paper, writing paper, and the listening paper, will be held on one chosen Saturday. Candidates will be put in an examination-like sitting condition in a school hall or in a classroom where they will be sitting for all these 3 papers, one after the other, with a short break time in between. Every candidate sitting for the particular MUET session will be having the exam on the same day throughout the country. So on the day of the speaking test, I need to remind you of a few things. First of all is for you to bring your identification card. Next is for you to bring your MUET examination slip. This examination slip could be downloaded from the Malaysian Examination Council MEC portal and then printed out. Once it is printed out, you would need to take note of the MUET examination center, the date, and the time slot of your speaking test, because all this information about the test might be different from where and when your friends are having theirs. Also, do remember to bring a pen to write with. This is for you to use when you're writing out your notes, which are your content points and elaborations for your speaking tasks. Let me just show you the MUET speaking test layout. So this is the MUET speaking test layout. On the day of the test, please make sure that you arrive at the examination center much earlier than the time slot written on your examination slip. You need to give yourself some time for you to go and look for the examination rooms. This is important because some examination centers are located in a school or a large campus that you are unfamiliar with, and so you might need time for you to find your way to get to the examination rooms. So give yourself time to do this. These here are the two rooms that you need to know about. The one on the left is the MUET Speaking Examination Room, and the room on the right is the MUET Examination Quarantine Room. When you first arrive at your examination centers, you'll be heading straight to the MUET Quarantine Room. Here, you will meet with a teacher or an examination personnel who is going to register you for the day. He or she will then put you into groups of 4 based on the examination list made available by the MEC. The examination personnel, who is also the timekeeper, will let you know whether you are candidate A, B, C, or D. Then you will wait for your turn to go into the examination room with your other 3 group members. When the time comes, you and your group members will be called into the MUET examination room, where you will be sitting in this position as seen here. You will be sitting in front of each other, with the 2 examiners sitting on your left and your right. You will be sitting at your designated place as candidate A, B, C, or D. In front of you, on the table, you will see that there is 1 piece of question paper and a piece of writing paper. So the question paper is just 1 piece of paper where you have part 1 of the MUET speaking test question on one side, and on the other side of the paper is the question for part 2. The writing paper, of course, is for you to write all your notes on when you are doing your brainstorming for part 1 and part 2. The examination will start here. Let's now move on to the sample question for part 1. So this is what part 1 of the speaking test will look like. All 4 candidates will be receiving different questions, and each candidate will not know what the other candidate's questions are. So let's read the question paper first. Candidate A. Part 1. Individual presentation. You have 2 minutes to prepare. You have 2 minutes to talk. Situation. There are a number of ways to spend our free time. Suggest some ways. Candidate A. You have to give a presentation to your class. Talk about activities that are fun to do. So you can see here that there are 2 segments of the question. First is the situation given, and then there's the task for each candidate. The situation given for all candidates will be the same. This means that every candidate will get the same situation, worded in the same way, and the topic, as you can see here, is talking about ways to spend our free time. So the task given to candidate A, if you are candidate A, is for you to talk about activities that are fun to do to spend your free time. Let's now look at the task given to the other candidates. So this is the question given to candidate B. So if you are candidate B, your task is for you to talk about activities that will bring you closer to your family. This here is the task for candidate C. So if you are candidate C, your task is for you to talk about activities that will benefit your school as a way of spending your free time. And this here is the question for candidate D. If you are candidate D, your task is for you to talk about activities that will benefit your home environment. So all these tasks given are for the same topic, which are the ways to spend your free time. And the task is for you to talk about activities that will benefit certain aspects of your lives. Like I said before, all 4 candidates will not have a clue of what the other candidates' questions are. but as you can see, all the tasks are related. I will have a video related to how to answer part 1 of the speaking paper. So click the subscribe button and subscribe to my channel so as not to miss any of my coming videos. Let's now move on to the sample question for speaking part 2. So this is what the speaking paper for part 2 question will look like. Let's read this first. Part 2, group discussion. You have 3 minutes to prepare. You have 8 to 12 minutes for the discussion. Situation: after a long day, we would like to spend time relaxing. In your group, discuss the ways to relax. So let me just talk about the situation here. So the situation for part 2 of the speaking paper will be connected with the question given in part 1. As you have seen just now, the topic for part 1 was on the way to spend our free time. For part 2 is for you to discuss about the different ways for you to relax after a long day. As you can see, it is interrelated. For part 2, this is the mind map with the 5 different prompts for you to base your discussion on. So let's read the question first. Ways to relax. First idea you can talk about is about getting some sleep. The second suggestion is to watch some television. Next is to listen to music. Another suggestion is to do some sports. And the fifth and the last suggestion is to switch off your phone. Now for speaking part 2, anybody can start the discussion and you can talk about any part of the prompts first as you like. So that means that there are no prompts that are allocated to any one candidate specifically. So all candidates can use all the prompts given. This video ends here and I'll see you soon in the next video.